Okay, selamat welcome everyone. Today I'm joined with Mr. Edison Wang from PT Omni Game Rekreasi Edukatif, or O.G.R.E for short. So, who are they and who is he? What is he doing right now? Because he doesn't seem like a FAB player that we've seen before. Well, he's the CEO of Omni Game Rekreasi Edukatif. So, Mr. Edison Wang, would you care to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi everyone. As uh, I'm I'm actually the CEO of Omni Game Rekreasi Edukatif. The company is actually a wholesale distributor and importer that specialize in hobby, especially TCG. Right now, in total, our group manages about 16 TCG in
Wow,
Indonesia.
that's a lot.
Yeah. So we are very happy to add FAB to the portfolio.
Okay, very interesting. Let's get right into the questions. I have some very burning questions that's been at the back of my mind ever since
Okay.
O.G.R.E was announced as the official distributor. So,
Yeah.
of course, let's before we do that, we want to hear about the background. So, you already have 15 or 16 games before FAB. So that's already a lot of TCGs that you need to manage. And
Mm-hmm.
the market for TCG in Indonesia, it is large, but I guess there's a limit, right? There's a bit of saturation. So what
Yes.
was the catalyst or the trigger that made O.G.R.E pull the trigger and like, okay, we're gonna add FAB to the catalog?
Okay. So there are actually several factors
Mm-hmm.
that come to play regarding Flesh and Blood. So first of all, I'm not sure whether you realize this or maybe some of the old fans knows about this, but actually Omni Game was the first uh, distributor and importer for Flesh and Blood when it started in Indonesia.
Yeah, that's why
Then,
it's more interesting because like
yeah,
I played a long time ago, and then
yeah,
the monarch happened, right? The
yeah,
monarch dry supply, and then it just everything left. Players were left to the wolves. There was no cards, no supply. Like it was a whole shebang. So
yes,
you came back now. So
yes.
what's the main thing that drove
So
Omni Game?
actually, at that time, we had no choice but to, um, stop doing Flesh and Blood
Mm-hmm.
because at certain point, this is more of a business decision, and of course, there's no perfect solution in distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Some products is better served with going direct to retailers, but I will say that TCG usually works better when there's a local distributor that manages the branding and the coordinating of the market, developing the player base. But at one point, I think it was decided the shops will be served directly by the region distributor.
I see.
But then the arrangement doesn't really work because then every shops have to fend for themselves. They have to do the
Yeah.
importing for themselves. They have to arrange for the promos for themselves, and then nobody wants to do any of the hard work.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of work, especially with the Becuk Indo, you know how it is, right?
yeah, and the other thing is that nobody want really. I mean, each shops, and you cannot blame them for this. They will tend to focus on the players that plays in their shop
Mm-hmm.
instead of looking at the bigger picture, nationwide, for example. And so that's where a local distributor or sub distributor came in. And so we had to stop doing Flash and Blood at the time because we couldn't find an agreement with Legendary Studios and the distribution uh, distributor that they appointed, which
Mm-hmm.
was in Taiwan. We couldn't find an arrangement, so yeah, regretfully we have to stop doing it because at that point we actually serve no function anymore because the stores are being served directly.
I see. Yeah.
And then it was really sad because we already put in a lot of resources and time to develop the game here at the time. So when we were contacted a few months ago, I think last year, end of last year, we were asked to discuss about the possibility of us taking the game. And for us, it has never been like a tough decision because some of our shareholders is actually a big fan of the game.
I see.
And even though like we're managing so many TCGs in our portfolio, but I always feel that Flesh and Blood is a bit different because most of the games that's in our portfolio is Japanese based, and it plays differently. The art style is different, and I would say that the Flesh and Blood reminds me because I used to play TCG in the past, and one of the things that I like the most about Flesh and Blood is the strong team that differs from class to class, from heroes to heroes. It reminds me of the old Magic that I used to love. I don't know whether you play Magic.
Oh yeah, I do. I did.
Yeah, but
well, not
the past
anymore.
was not like the Magic nowadays. Magic nowadays has like green. When you play green, it's like this. When you play red, it's like this. When you play blue, it's like this. Every color is so distinct. And nowadays, I don't the same.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like a lot of the colors can do basically everything.
Yeah. And so when I tried Flesh and Blood, I was in Japan recently, and I reconnect with the game, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I remember why this game has like a special feeling, even for me, even though I don't play that nowadays because I have to work. Unlike some shareholders that I share some name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Ipang.
but yeah, I like the game a lot, and so it was not a tough decision for us as long as we can manage a win-to-win solution to the distribution arrangement, and then managed to have it signed. I think like last month or the month before, yeah, and then it's just a matter of like when do we start taking on the project, because I feel that there's quite a bit of a challenge that's facing Flesh and Blood nowadays. I mean, some are like out of our control because one of the thing is that there's TCG that's hitting the market. So many TCGs. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot. I mean, you managed 16 by yourself, right?
Yeah. So, and then some new ones, like for example, I'm just going to name the brand. Like One Piece is just dominating the new.
Yeah, One Piece is like the top of mind right now. Even though it's in Japanese and nobody here like speaks Japanese fluently, we just play it.
Yes, and then there's so many alternatives, there's so many TCG that nowadays everybody's fighting for the share of mind and share of the pocket of players. Yeah. But I feel that Flesh and Blood has the uniqueness that is, I would say, it has the advantage of being different and unique, and the competitive scene is alive. I mean, the organized play they are really well planned. It's just a matter, I think, right now, the biggest challenge is actually building the confidence of the retailers.
Yeah.
So more retailers are willing to take up the product again.
Yep.
And then also building the community, because some of the players already left the game because they felt like let down.
Yeah, I was one of those players, but Yeah, last year I reconnect with the game because there was the nationals and they were like, "Hey, come help us fill the nationals because it's open invite because we don't have enough players." And I'm like, "Sure, if
Yeah.
you pay my entry fee and lend me a deck, I'll play." And then I just reconnected with the game and I just remembered, "Oh, crap, this game is so good and like the competitive scene is alive." And yeah, I've been back since. So yeah,
I'm happy to.
hopefully with you around with Omni Game, we can resurrect FAB to its former glory.
Yeah. So I always have the opinion that for the game to thrive, there's actually four parties, that's like four stakeholders that have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, at the top, it's actually like a circle. So the
Okay.
publisher has to be have to be willing to support the game to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the distributor who's willing to put in the work and actually organize and coordinate the market nationally.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the shops that actually care to develop the local scene,
Mm-hmm.
like actually love the game too. And then there's also the players, because without the players, then nobody.
Yeah.
It's just mood, and then it goes back the whole circle. So, and there's also much we can do. So that's why what's the strength of Omni, because we are deeply connected to O.G.R.E, which has a player base, and IPANG is still active,
Mm-hmm.
and so community-wise, we are unique position where, because some of our shareholders is actually still actively playing, some is still very actively connected to the community, and I will say that's actually one of our strength as a company.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. So, the background's been covered. We now understand what happened and like how you reconnect, and now you're back again as the distributor. So that's in the past. I want to know plans for the future. So you already mentioned one of the points that I want to actually ask about because Omni Game has their direct ties to a lot of the O.G.R.E shops, O.G.R.E LGSs. So my question is like, will you be actively promoting the Flesh and Blood in all of the O.G.R.E stores, or just in like select stores that you feel like, oh yeah, these stores probably have the players that match the Flesh and Blood archetype, or are you gonna start doing it from the pre-release? Will you be having a pre-release at some O.G.R.E stores, or will that be for the set after Rosetta?
Okay, so actually, this is where my strategy is a bit unique.
Okay.
Because and this is what I pitch to to the LSS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I said, I am afraid that to directly recruit the old players is not going to be that easy.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I feel about it. I mean, that's one of the target market, of course. But nowadays, some of them are already switching to other TCGs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm actually targeting another target market,
Okay.
which is really, I'm targeting the board game players.
I see. So you're not like cannibalizing the other TCG players, but instead you're targeting board game players.
So I come from the background of board gamers,
Uh-huh.
and I actually feel that Flesh and Blood, for whatever reasons, if we play multiplayers, it actually has a very strong team that actually feels a bit like board games.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the strategy that I'm pitching is actually I want to target the board game players. We are going to work with board game cafes.
Okay.
We're going to do teaching sessions there. We are going to offer them like starter decks and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to try to get new blood in.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, right now I feel that because when I see the number of players participating in nationals for the past
Mm-hmm.
3 years, it's like 30, 50, 50, which is, I would say that it's not really sufficient for the game to grow.
Yeah.
And so I feel that actually we can try to work the strong theme of Flesh and Blood, and I will actually bundle it into something kind of a board game.
Okay.
And the focus to get new players, as long as they, oh, what is this? I will actually tell them this is a board game.
Okay,
I will
okay.
sell it as board game bundles. I say, okay, you get 4 decks, you can play multiplayers, and I'm hoping to work with some of the, because Indonesia turns out have a lot of local artists that actually do
Oh
art.
yeah. We have a
Yeah.
ton of like not just like tupu or low tier artists. We have like one of the most critically acclaimed that people
Yeah.
like really try to find him to get him and her for their signatures, right?
So I'm trying to engage them to create like a custom playmats that actually connect into a multiplayer board,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
to pitch that and try to recruit new players at the board game cafes.
Mm-hmm.
And they will just play casually at first. But then we'll slowly introduce them to the competitive scene.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe once they are into the game, then okay, we can do like a pauper league where we start the deck and then add the booster every week and such like that. And that's one of the things that I'm actually hoping to run as soon as possible. I'm actually waiting for the Blitz deck to run it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I have like a shipment of Blitz deck that's coming to Indonesia. The situation is not ideal because like the product is shipped during this period where the custom in Indonesia, with
Yeah,
the red
yeah.
line, everything
Yeah,
got
red
delayed.
line everything. I heard from a couple of LGSs because I ordered something and they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, it's gonna be delayed for like a month."
Yeah. So it's not ideal, but the product is coming. So I'm still waiting for those, and then once it arrives, I can start running workshops at board game cafes, and then after that, the next goal will be doing a pauper tournament where we can get the new players that already try out the game and like it to compete in a tournament where, I mean, one of the things with challenges that face Flesh and Blood is like the old timers have, the the god cards. That's
Yeah.
new players want they are starting out and they face those players. Yeah, you're going to get butchered.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have like even if the deck is equal, as a new player you're just gonna get trashed because FAB is very very like knowledge based. Like
Yes, correct.
if you haven't played at all, you will just get dumpstered. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a new player and you want to learn the game, and what happens is like every week you come to the store and you get butchered every week without having any chance to do anything at all. It's not really a good experience for them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to. One of the things that I will most likely do is actually focus on the pauper format, where the old timers doesn't have that much of an advantage
Yeah.
over the ones. Of course, skill still comes into play. Knowledge of the game, strategy still comes into play. But then it will give the newcomers more.
More of a fighting chance.
Yes, more of a fighting chance. And so hopefully then we can introduce some new blasts, some new competitive players that will then later. My goal is right now actually hopefully we can get like 100 players for the next nationals.
Yeah.
That's my goal anyway.
I agree. So hopefully, I really want that to happen too. Because like compared to Pokemon, like this year's nationals, we had like 500 players, which was like almost double the last year. Last year was like 330 or something. So
Yeah.
this year being 500, the growth is very very strong for Pokemon, and I know like Flesh and Blood is a great game also. Well, while it might not be very easy to pick up for like young people, but the
Yeah.
gameplay is very deep. So if you're like competitive player, Flesh and Blood is really there. Oh yeah, well, what's your opinion on the first strike decks? Because they revealed instead of the normal blitz decks, they have like the pair of decks, the Aurora and the Terra, which is very specific for new players to learn.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the first strike order is the one that was handled not by us.
I see. So it was before your deal with the LSS. Okay.
Yes, so we won't be able. I mean, at this point, I have an understanding with LGS
Mm-hmm.
that I tell them that I'll start doing the game once Rosetta is launched.
Yep.
Any orders that come before it goes to them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they need my assistance in like handling the shipment or the promos, even for the previous sets, I'm more than willing to help because this is actually a partnership. It's not, it's not like okay, and then like we only want to do this. No, it's for me. Distributing the TCG is more partnership between us and the publisher, and also with the retailers. And together we try to serve the customers. And we want to give the best playing experience. Because the way I see it is like this: most of the big tournaments, or even the short tournaments, you run it on weekends.
Yeah.
So everybody that's like, if you're studying from Monday to Friday. And if you're working from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So those 5 days we've been working hard. So on Saturday and Sunday, and that's your times out, your times off from all the hassle of life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have so many choice. You can actually you can go with your girlfriend if you have any. You can go watch a movie, do whatever. Like so many things you can do. But if a player decides that, oh, I'm going to spend my weekend playing this game at the store with my friend, shouldn't we give them something like a good experience? Like if you go to watch a movie, you want to watch a good movie, you don't want to come out from the cinema like, oh shit, man, that's like 3 hours I'm getting back from my life, you know?
Yeah.
So we always try, especially when Omni do events, if you do large events, well, that's actually one of our strengths. Like recently, we do an event for
Ultraman or another.
One Piece.
Uh-huh.
And the review came back because we have surveys,
Mm-hmm.
and we are actually tied for number 1 satisfaction in the region.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
cool.
so I was very happy because, and we try to learn from event to event what we can do to improve the game, what we can do to improve the tournament, like to keep the team the tournament going on time, less disturbance, better judging and such. So that's another thing that I'm really hoping to bring into the game for Flesh and Blood. So any organized large tournament, I hope it's going to be really fun and really smooth, and hopefully we can do it next year for nationals.
Awesome, glad to hear. Okay, I think that covers the portion of Omni's plan for Flesh and Blood in Indonesia. But aside from the plans, I want to hear, I mean, you alluded to it a little bit before about the 100 players, but what does success for Omni in Flesh and Blood look like? Like, you mentioned like 100 new players, so maybe like some metrics like how many LGSs, how many players, like big events, and what does success look like for Flesh and Blood at Omni?
Okay, I think due to the number of, due to the geographical challenge of Indonesia, ideally I would like to have presence in major cities at least. Jakarta, Surabaya, Bandung, Yogyakarta,
Mm-hmm.
and then some major cities in Sumatra, maybe Medan, Palembang. Ideally, I would like players not have to travel that far to play.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the number of stores is one thing. Of course, everybody would like to have more stores doing the game. But the other thing is, I will actually try to focus on the quality of the stores running the game.
I see.
Yeah, so it's not just the quantity, but like, is the store really active doing the game? Is the store player base really into the game? Are the store doing anything actively trying to develop the player base? Is the store giving a good experience to the player?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they come to play Flesh and Blood, when they go home, like, do they feel happy that they spend whatever amount of hour there? So for me, because there are stores that just basically move boxes,
Yeah.
and those stores, while I appreciate their presence, those are not really what I desire the most now, at least at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I want a store that actually active. I'm really into this game. I want to run this game as a business though, because there are some stores that actually does it like as a hobby, and then it becomes a different issue.
I see.
Yeah, I think that I like stores that actually like. I don't want stores to just run the game because they like it, but they also have to run it in a way that's sustainable as a business.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end, all LGS is a business. They have to pay rent, they have to pay their staff. Without them making adequate amount of revenue, then they won't survive. And then the one that at lost will be the players, because then they lost somewhere to the place where they can play. So another thing is I would like is to maintain the pricing and the margin for the retailers. Like, I want a healthy margin for them. I also want the players to have like a comparable price to the world. So I think
Yeah, because
the
so far,
price
like our box
that's quite
prices
right.
have been like so far from like the US is paying like $80 for a box, which would be like 1.3 mil rupiah. Now,
Yeah.
and we were paying like 1.6 plus, and now with year-round we get 1.5, which is an improvement.
Yeah. I wish we can do it lower, but the sad thing is like the exchange rate is just crazy nowadays.
Yeah. Rupiah to
Yeah.
the dollar right now is not healthy, but
Yeah, not healthy at all. If whether to US dollar or Singapore dollar, we have weakened by quite a bit. So unfortunately, that's one of the things that we cannot control. But this is one I think that when I work with retailers, is that I told them, I want everybody to play on a level playing field, which is like, do not compete on price. It's just going to end up badly for everyone.
Yep.
But service. Give your player a good playing experience, and they'll be happy to pay this kind of price. It's not exorbitant price. Like, it's a normal price. It's not like super high, but it's not super low. Just good for everyone. Then the way, if the game, because if you see that the price is gone crazy, then the other shops won't be willing to take up the products, because the way they see it is, okay, I won't be able to make any return, any good revenue from this game. Why should I take up this game? There's so many other games right now that I can make a profit, so they will not touch the game. And then what happens is, like, we won't be able to grow the presence of Flesh and Blood. So distributor acts as a regulator in this case. If we help to regulate the market.
Okay, awesome. So that's the success.
The success, okay. So yeah, I think um honestly, I hope that
Like for example, let's set a target for like this time next year. What would you want to see at this time next year?
this time next year, I'm hoping to see um like a lot of new faces. Like if the national next year, like if there's 100 players and the 50 players is from the last year and the 50 is totally new players, that means I've done my job. If I can bring 150 players and the 50 players is just old timers and the 100 players is like nobody has seen them before, that means I've done my job.
Okay.
But yeah, because the way I see it, like if we have a big enough, if we get the ball rolling, then even the players that have already switched to other games, then they will consider coming back. Like, oh, now Flesh and Blood is big again. Like, oh yeah, I want to play this game again. So at this point, I'm really hoping to grow the player base and get new fresh blood into the game. And I will actually I will measure my success based on that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's very measurable. Let's see if that will happen. Maybe we'll arrange an follow-up interview next year. Okay,
Yeah.
another question is currently LSS is doing like more events in like Southeast Asia, but however, like since Indonesia's player base is quite small and our islands are quite scattered, and we just had a Battle Harden, which is the first big event that we have for our country at Bali, but the pro tours so far have been like very far, like they're either in Europe or in the US, like somewhere not very reachable. So like does Omni Game have plans to like support competitive players that probably they already won the pro quest, they already have their invite? Would there be like plans to like support or help that player to be able to attend on behalf of Indonesia, or would you be creating like mini events where you can win travel awards, or do you have anything planned for that?
Okay, so I'm very willing to invest in the game when I see that everybody involved is actually willing to work together in that. I mean, for example, one of the game that we distributed, Shadowverse, for example, Shadowverse Evolve. Like the first year, I actually tell them that, okay, guys, because when they announced the reward is a one-of-a-kind copy of a card, I told the community, okay, I want to see this card in Indonesia. Whoever brings it back here, I will give you, like, out of my own pocket, like 50 million rupiahs. You can still keep the cards. I just want to take photo with it. And it actually happened.
Yeah, I saw the guy is Daniel Yanto. Or...
Yes, Daniel Yanto, and for me, it's even though I'm out of 50 mil, but I'm really happy. I feel that it's actually it's going to be good for the game, for the local community. I mean, because now there's like this pride. I actually told them, next year I want it back. I want the title of the world champion back in Indonesia. I don't want it to go to another country, and for that I'm willing to invest. But of course, I'm willing to do the same thing for Flesh and Blood. So we will see what we can do based on the sales, and then of course at the end I have to consider the budgeting and such. But I'm really hoping I'm really looking forward to invest in the game and see what we can do to support the players, because especially for the competitive ones, I would like really to the players have all the support they can get to actually compete on the highest level, and then bring back glory to the Indonesian player base, and then to get the players in Indonesia start talking. Ooh, we have this player from Indonesia that's performing very well, or maybe even the world champion. It's going to be really good for us.
Okay, will you be willing to?
Passion blood for that.
Okay, the World Championship is coming up this October, and Indonesia will be sending, since it's in Japan and pretty nearby, a lot of our players are actually going to go. Some of them already bought their tickets. Will you be willing to match the 50 mil you went for the SVEE?
Sure, why not?
Okay, awesome. I'll put you up to that because, yeah.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Because sadly last year...
The gauntlet has been thrown.
Yeah, because...
all the Indonesian players bring back the title in Indonesia.
Awesome, because last year Worlds was in Barcelona, and the invite was only given to like the top 2 players or like top 4.
Okay.
I don't remember, but both of them like couldn't attend. They had either business stuff, work stuff they couldn't do, and the plane ticket itself was like very expensive, which meant that even if they like won top 8, they would still be only breaking even. So last year we did not have any representatives, but this year, like out of the 8 players, I feel like at least 6 will be going, and that's 6 that won the invite. And you in Flesh and Blood, you have the PTI, right? You can redeem yourself. You buy in to get the invite, and like we have like 1 or 2 players that are going to do that. So we're going to see at least like 8 representatives at this year's Worlds.
I'm happy to see them bring back the title to Indonesia.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Since contents anyway, Flesh and Blood Indonesian player, I challenge you to bring back the world title to Indonesia, and I just want to take photo with the prize. I'm not sure what the prize is right now, but
it's probably just like a trophy and the gold foil hero card.
Okay, I just want to take photo with the gold foil hero card and then the card.
Awesome,
and I'll match whatever I offer to the shadow players. So 50 million is yours to whoever brings back the title to Indonesia.
Okay, you heard it here first, guys. Okay.
Okay.
That covers that portion. Maybe lastly, that's all of my questions basically. Lastly, probably I want to hear something from you as the CEO of Omni Game. Probably do you have like some messages both for LGSs and secondly for the existing Flesh and Blood community?
Well, I think one of the things that I would like to convey to the Flesh and Blood community is actually thank you for keeping the game alive while we were away. So I would say that maybe a lot of games would have died beyond salvation by this point. But one of the things that Flesh and Blood has is like really loyal fans, like the players that really love the games. And I feel that that's one of the assets that is going to be really critical in helping us grow the game back. And I want to reach out to all the players. Please help us develop the player base game. I hope there's no gatekeeping, like, some games there are gatekeepings, but I feel that if everybody is willing to be open and embrace the new players and actually bring them up instead of maybe, just dominating them like week in, week out, and at that point, it's going to be detrimental to the growth of the game. But I feel that the Flesh and Blood community is right now, I feel is actually a very tight-knit, and I feel that I'm really excited and looking forward to work together with the community. And so hopefully by next year, I'm going to be realistic and not say there's going to be 500 people in the nationals, but let's see.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do to correct that, okay?
Awesome. Okay. I guess that wraps up our entire interview. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy man as a CEO, but yeah, hopefully, let's do a checkpoint this time next year
Yeah.
to see where Flesh and Blood is at 1 year after Omni Game, and probably we might have an interview after you give 50 mil to someone after they win the World Championships.
I'm
Uh,
really looking forward to giving out that money.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So yeah, that'll be the end of our interview.
Thank you so much for
Looking
your
forward to
time.
catch up more with Omni Game in the future. I'll
Okay.
be doing like multiple checkpoints to just to see like whether like we have like good touch points, right? You want to be communicating frequently to see because you mentioned earlier the circle, right? You want to because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be connecting the player part. You probably have your ears really close to the LGSs, and I'll be the one representing the players, hopefully.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Okay,
Let's
awesome, awesome.
keep in touch more often.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's it for our interview. And as
Thanks
always,
for your
sampai
time.
goodbye.